does all the work for you. He just puts you in this position and that position, and we do a couple minutes here, a couple minutes there, and then they find out that you just get you can save 3 minutes out of your time. 3 minutes off my time, I wouldn't want to stay for 3 minutes. That's the way all those science boys think. Man, 3 minutes off your time. I'm like, 3 minutes off my time, and you just found some, undiscovered talent there. Anyways, no, it was a good experience, and I think it was one that always I was lacking. Never had the experience of being in the one-time experience of being with the equipment and having the guy who makes the equipment be there and change it for you and put you in a position that he knows is going to be great for you. I don't think it saved me 3 minutes, but maybe it saved me a minute or two or 45 seconds. We'll see.
We'll have a chance to see that maybe on Friday?
Yes.
And then Levi, I think it's pretty special coming to your home state last year, winning 2 stages and then the overall. I think most riders would love to just race in their home state. Not only did you race, but you won. What's that feeling like?
To put it simply, it's very special. I think that the first year that I won the prologue in 2006, and I didn't know what to expect coming into Santa Rosa. It was, the next day is my hometown, and I thought that there would be, my friends would be there, my family would be there, but when we rolled into town, we had a short circuit, and, there was parking garages and buildings that were literally just packed. People hanging out of windows, up telephone poles. It was hard to concentrate because it was really overwhelming. And when I got up on the podium with the yellow jersey in my hometown of Santa Rosa, leading the Tour of California with, the world's best peloton at that time of the year, the world's best peloton in the race, I was speechless. I didn't know what to say, and I got a little choked up. But it was those 2 moments, 2006 and 2007. And winning the race last year were really special for me, even compared to all my results I've had in Europe.
Well, we know we'll be rooting for you again come Sunday and back into your hometown on Monday.
Thanks.
Let's open up. These guys are here for you, so let's open it up to the floor. We're just going to call on people by raising your hand. I see the gentleman in the red.
Levi, how hard did you dig to attack on Rasmussen in last year's tour?
I mean, specifically, I think I'm always pushing myself to the limit. In the tour, there's no way around it. Everybody's on their limit. The winner, the last place guy. There were a few moments last year when it came down to just me and Alberto trying to crack Rasmussen, and I can remember attacking with 10 kilometers to go up the Obelisk and 10 kilometers up the last hill, that last mountain in the Tour de France in the third week of a 6.5-hour stage. That's forever. 10 kilometers is a long time. And I remember thinking, this is like the Hail Mary, just going for it. And I could be lying on the side of the road with 5K to go, but at that point you got to go for it. And Alvaro had a chance to win, and you have to pull out all the stops. But luckily I had a good day, and I actually had a bad moment, and I came back and was able to finish second. But at that time we thought best, and we did everything we could to try to beat him. And I think that's what's the most important part, is that we can be in the race and do our best. And that way, if we come up second, we're happy and we're content with it.
Gentleman right over here.
Yeah, it's a question for both you guys, and welcome to California, or back home. And do you guys see opportunities on the stage 3 hill climb up the back of Mount Hamilton for significant time gaps that could affect GC, or to stay away, or is the descent too long, do you think, before Sierra for people to come back together?
I think you're going to see where this is going to be the one time in the Tour of California in the years that they put it on where it's going to disintegrate. It's not coming back together. It's going to be small groups finishing across the line. And years past, you had the Sierra Road climb that was really steep, and that split it up. But then 15, 20 guys would stay together, another 10 would catch them, and then they'd all work to catch the front group. Last year we just barely stayed off by 4 seconds, and we had what we had, a minute and a half or so, minute and a half lead at the top, and they still brought that back.
Yeah.
And we were riding flat out the whole time, 3 of us. But that's not going to happen this year. It's going to be ugly. There'll be people everywhere. I'm sure.
Yes.
Obviously, there was some bad news today. Is the door completely shut? Do you know of any opportunities that may exist?
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, I think you guys are the opportunity. You're going to see a campaign that's going to start up here in a couple of days, and there'll be a website where you can go to, read the facts, and I think our only hope is that the U.S. cycling population and the cycling fans can voice their concern and their support for us, because the Tour de France has a lot of interest here. Obviously, they know how many people watch the sport, watch the Tour de France, go over to the Tour de France. Every year I've done the tour, and we come into the Paris and we do our victory lap afterwards. All the teams get to do a victory lap on the Champs-Élysées. To me, it's always felt like I'm doing a victory lap in the U.S. because it's American flags, it's Americans the whole way around, and the Tour de France, they know that. And so I think there's a glimmer of hope that if they hear a really loud voice coming out of the U.S. that this is wrong what they've done. They've excluded the best riders of the race, the defending champion, last year's third place winner, another rider who's finished on the podium twice. By far and away the strongest team when it comes to the Tour de France. It's just not fair. Their arguments, in my opinion, are weak, and I think that if we can somehow let them know that, you never know, then maybe they'll let us back in.
All right. Yes, right over here.
Just to continue with that, I just want to let you know, I was there last year on the finish line. We waited 6 hours, some of it in the rain, with kids. There was absolutely no negative feeling the entire day from any of the fans. And that's what I think they need to realize is, as the fans, we want you guys there. We want it to continue. And all the bad stuff that happened last year, none of us spoke 1 minute about it. It was all good stuff.
Yeah, thank you. Well, and the sport is definitely changing. There's no denying what's happened the last 3 years, 2 to 3 years, and everybody's working hard to improve all around. The organizers, the riders, the teams. But I think if they leave out the defending champion, Alberto Contador is 24 years old. He's the huge star of cycling. I mean, he's a rock star in Europe, and he can win the Tour multiple times, and they're going to just not let him race and not really come up with a very good argument as to why. I think the race will be hollow without him.
Oh, absolutely. Gentleman over there. Yes. Yeah.
Well, even better than going to France and watching you in the Tour de France is being able to stay at home and watch you race here.
It's better for me too, I tell you.
It's a short drive for all of us.
Considering the time zone differences and the cost of travel and everything, what do you think the long-term prospects are for American cycling becoming fully integrated and on an equal level with European cycling, maybe a tour of the world instead of a tour of this country or that country?
I think that's where the sport is headed, and I think that the Tour is actually afraid of that, because we have Tour of California, a phenomenal event that has set an unprecedented rate of growth and popularity over the first 3 years. There's the Tour Down Under in Australia that has been very solid for about 10 years now. There's a big race in Malaysia that's been going on for 15 years and just gains momentum every year. And I think the sport needs to globalize, and it is globalizing. And in the end, that way there's not this one race that's so important and so powerful. I don't want to sound like I'm bitter towards the Tour, because when I was 13 years old and I turned on the television and I saw the Tour de France, that's what I fell in love with, and that's what I knew I was meant to do. and I knew one day I would do that. I've worked my whole life, I've sacrificed my whole life to ride that race, and I felt like over my career, I've inched closer and closer to winning the biggest race in the world. So, I'm not trying to discount it, but I think that it would be great to have other big, important events around the world.
Yes, gentleman over here.
Yeah, have you both of you been training on Mount Hamilton, and then how does Mount Hamilton compare with some of the tour rides?
Well, I haven't trained on it. I haven't seen it before.
I've never done it either. I wanted to do it this winter, but
It's like a freeway on-ramp.
yeah. I know it'll be hard. I don't think it'll be Chris or myself to be the ones that are making the race on Mount Hamilton. We have some very strong teammates for that, and what we're hoping is that it really weakens everyone when we hit the bottom of Sierra.
Yes.
For Chris, he's done a phenomenal job at Tour de Switzerland for around the last couple of years. And I know we all want to talk about Tour de France and what a great race that is, but from Chris's perspective, what other races do you see targeting this year that are be fun for us to watch you excel in?
Well, yes, basically any race in Switzerland's always treated me really nice. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the water or something. It's really clean up there, but
You get away from him now.
maybe that's it too, yeah. But yeah, absolutely. I think Switzerland certainly. Before Switzerland was going to be something I was going to target, go in there with some good form, and then come out, hopefully ride even better, so that when I go into the Tour, I can support our leaders with Astana and the Tour de France. And then now, of course, with this new news and stuff, if that holds up, then certainly I think my objective would be the Tour of Switzerland, to go in there at 100% fire, and instead of going in there at 90, 95, just go in there at 100%. And that'd be I think one of the biggest goals I'd have in my season. But to tell you the truth, up until just sitting down right here, I really didn't think about it in terms of like, ooh, because I was still kind of like, oh, maybe we're getting into the Tour still, see. But yeah, I think if I had to pinpoint it down, I'd say Tour of Switzerland would be my biggest goal of the year. Then.
I think time trialing is going to get you the
Yeah, that's 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Love those guys. Or back when I had a ponytail, it used to be like, you cut that thing off, you're going to lose a minute, I guarantee it. Now I don't have any hair, and I'm still not a minute faster.
Next question. Yes.
Yeah, when you guys are up in the stages on the high mountains like Alpe d'Huez or something like that, you've got hundreds of thousands of people on the mountain blocking the road and stuff. What goes through your head? Do you even notice them, or are you so spent and locked in that you don't notice? Or
Yeah, most of the time you don't. I remember a few times, last year suffering on the final climb and being alone, and there's a crowd, and then there's always people running next to you. And I remember one time last year suffering, kind of cross-eyed, and there was somebody running right here for a good 10 seconds, and before I realized that he was completely naked. It was totally normal. For like 10 seconds, I was like, yeah, he's naked, whatever.
Yeah, I get a little bit different perspective, because I actually get to enjoy that part of the climb a little bit more. I do all my suffering on the second to last climb, and then I get to start the last climb with the leader, so the crowds are still as crazy, but I'm coming a minute, 2, 3, 4 minutes down from the leader, so I get to actually enjoy that part, because I've usually backed off, but I'm only riding 90% usually at that time, so I get to look around and go, wow, this is really cool. It's definitely, everyone says about the fans, like, oh, they're really dangerous and stuff like that, and it is dangerous, but you would never trade that danger level for no fans at all. I mean, never. You'd be like, oh, I only have to get hit 4 or 5 times this tour, okay, I'll take it.
Two questions. One is that when you're on those big climbs, what kind of gear ratio are you using, and how much sleep do you guys get every night? Yeah,
you always have a 39-25, and some of the climbs maybe even go, you get something else put on at 28 or something, but for the big climbs, you're always 39, 25. And I'm usually in it most of the time. When after the first 4 or 5K, I'm probably 39, 21 or something like that, and then after I blow down 39, 25 to the top. But if you're in the front group, you're probably in the 21, right? 39, 21, 20, 23 maybe, because they're that steep. And then anyone back behind is easily 25 or. Well, that's the cat 2s and 1s, but the HDs are a little bit different. But you're using all your gears definitely. Sleep? Oh, yeah. Assuming it's a normal night, I'd say you can get in 9 hours, 10 hours most of the time. I kind of hate to bring it up, especially in this era where we're at, but certainly I use some sleeping pills and stuff like that to help to make sure that you're getting the right amount of sleep, which, so you guys all know is completely legal. But I think a lot of times you have so much caffeine, so much sugar, so much adrenaline. You're fatigued beyond the point to where it even starts to affect your sleep and stuff like that. So it's actually, I think it's more beneficial and more healthy for you to actually use a sleeping pill or something when you're doing the Tour de France. And for me, a lot of times I would do it more just to make sure that if I have a 9-hour window, I want the whole 9 hours of sleep. And so I always try to shoot for it. But they do a pretty good job during the tour to make sure that you have a 9 hours of sleep. Certainly it could be less for Levi when you're doing the podium stuff you're doing. You got to stay around the extra hour. You got to do the drug control testing every day and all that kind of stuff, because if you get stuck at drug control and you can't pee or something, you can be there for 3 hours. I got stuck at drug control for 3 hours before. And so then, then all of a sudden, you're getting your massage at 11 o'clock at night, you're eating at midnight, you're going to bed at 2, and then you're only getting, 7 hours sleep. So it could definitely have a lot of different effects on it. But normally, if everything goes smoothly, you can get 9 hours.
Hi guys, this question is for both of you. I'm kind of new to cycling. I've only been cycling for about 1.5 years now. And I was wondering, if you had any advice for people who are more novices in terms of building confidence and downhills completely scare me. Uphills are fine, but downhills.
Well, if you're talking about purely bike handling, sometimes it's nice to go out on a grassy field and not too grassy, but play around with your steering. That way, if you do crash, you're just going to crash in the grass. So you can kind of get the feel of the bike, and it just takes a lot of time to ride on your bike and get used to it.
Yeah, and do as many group rides as you can, stuff like that. That's a big help. Don't get worried. Ride with people close, really, really close to you. If you're both doing the same speed and you bump bars or something, you don't crash. It just doesn't happen. You have to really you'd have to come at each other and just really slam each other, or one would have to be going at a different speed or something. But if you ride real close to the person, especially if it's just you and your friend, you guys can both practice it together, and really, it would take a lot of something to go wrong for you guys to bump each other and really knock each other down. But then you'll always feel comfortable with having someone there, and then when you're in the group, you'll be even more comfortable. But remember, the guy in the group might not even be as good as you.
Yes, gentlemen, the white.
Yeah. Levi, tell us about the last 2 minutes of the time trial last year when you were closing down Cadell Evans in the time trial. What was going through your mind? How did you feel? Tell us about those 2 minutes.
The last 2 minutes? Honestly, at that point, your brain is like mush, and I'm cross-eyed, and I remember actually the last 5 kilometers being completely spent. I mean, I still have the power, and the legs are still turning, but I think you get to a point where it's, I'm not really accelerating anymore. I'm not going as fast, and I remember telling myself that I knew I was going to win the stage, and I didn't know anything about how close Cadell was or Alberto, and I told myself not to crash. There was a couple of really fast roundabouts on the downhill, I took it, just a little bit easier than normal because if I crashed, then I'd be throwing away the stage win. So, yeah, the last 5 kilometers, I don't remember much. It's just trying to hang on and stay composed and just get to the finish line. That's really not much else. I mean, you're so spent at that point. It's pretty single-minded.
In the back with the yellow hat.
Quick question. What you foresee possibly for the Tour of California, either of you, would you like to see it expanded so that it's possibly covering going into the Sierras, getting more mountain roads or something for that where you're really getting full flavor of California? And do you think that's something that would happen? Would you like to see it happen?
It would definitely be awesome to ride some of the roads in the Sierras. I know there's some big climbs. The problem is that we're in February. It wouldn't be that much fun. I think in 2009 we're most likely going to be south of Los Angeles and up to Palomar, which I know is a big climb. I think Chris has done it. So, they're looking to expand the race in terms of number of days and covering more of the state. So I think little by little we can have our own tour of friends.
Yes. Chris, you did really well at the Grand Prix of San Francisco. Do you prefer the big one-day race like that, or do you have more fun at the long stages?
Well, the long stage is a little bit better because everyone starts getting tired, and then you really know you know how the race is going to play out, so you know the strategy and what your job has to be, and exactly where you need to be, who's riding good. There's no doubt. By then, when you're a week into a stage race, you definitely know who's riding good and who's not. Versus a one-day race, you have to be real attentive to everybody, and you have to. Maybe if you were lucky, if you were racing in the States, if you were, like when I won in San Francisco, I think I hadn't raced for at least 3 weeks or something before San Francisco. Before the San Rafael criteria, that was the day before San Francisco. And so when I was doing the San Rafael criteria, I'm actually trying to look at other riders to see who's got, because I hadn't seen anyone for like 3 weeks, so I was like, who's got form, who doesn't, and you're trying to figure that out. And then when you get to San Francisco Grand Prix, which is your objective, then you have to be really careful because maybe someone is riding really good that 3 weeks ago wasn't. Versus in a stage race, you pretty much you start figuring out real quick who has it, who does it, and so. But I like both. They're completely different. They're two different. It's more intense and more exciting the one-day event, but it's every day at the stage race. It's just not to the same intensity level. It's certain extent, with the exception of the Tour or something where it's just crazy all the time. But
any climbs in Europe that you've done like Fillmore?
Oh yeah, there's stuff that's steep. In fact, one of the steepest ones, Levi won it 3 years ago now in Germany. What was the name of that climb?
The Rettenbach burner.
Yeah, that one. That was crazy steep. That was 10 miles of something pretty close to San Francisco the whole time. Yeah, it was unbelievable. We were running, I ran a 28 on there, and I could barely turn it over the whole time. Yeah, altitude running everything is ugly. But it's normally not that bad.
Gentleman in the yellow hat.
I have a question regarding medications and or injections that happen after you've got mad cases of road rash and sore joints. Do they inject cortisone or do they allow any behind-the-scenes activity at night in preparation to finish a multi-stage race, or you just grin and bear it?
No, that's the NFL. Now, I'll tell you, they don't allow that, and you're not allowed to do it. Now, my personal belief, though, is I think it would be better to allow some of that because, Lance, we'll give an example. Lance Armstrong's getting ready to win number 5 or 6 or 7. It's he's having a legendary career, and he gets Jonathan Vaughters' bee sting. And so it'd be crazy for all the fans sitting at home to miss seeing something epic because of a bee sting. So I honestly believe that they should
loosen up a little bit on how they are, but in cycling is very tight. They don't allow any of that. Now, what you're talking about is something that they would allow out of competition, so that if you were days away from the event or something, they would allow something like that with the doctors. Doctors have to look at it, you have to do the x-rays, you have to show that there's, you got inflammation in the knee, you got tendonitis somewhere or something like that, and then they would allow it. But, it's only in the NFL where you hear the quarterback come back and be like, yeah, during the halftime I got a cortisone injection and now I'm good to go. But I think that the problem in the sport is people really need to remember it's a professional sport, and I would actually like to see it loosened up a little bit so that you can keep the riders healthy and you don't have top quality riders missing events that fans really want to see them ride on, because you're not going to win the Tour de France because you have cortisone shot. It's not going to happen. Will the rider feel better? Will it help the rider perform? Absolutely, because if you didn't get that shot, you'd be at home on the couch. But would it actually help him perform from what he would be if he was before he was hurt? I don't think so.
So to wrap it, maybe just topical ointments, neosporins and whatnot on road rash and internal pains.
Right. I mean, in terms of injection, hydration and stuff like that, vitamin C, folic acid, B12s, everything like that's allowable. But nothing, no cortisones or anything like that are allowed during the racing.
I have a medical question, kind of personal too.
You weren't at the health clinic, were you?
I'm a physical therapist and I specialize in pelvic floor issues. People have pelvic pain down there, basically. And I do see a bunch of cyclists, not professional, but is this something that you guys have trouble with long hours in the saddle? Is this something that people have, nerve issues or muscular issues?
Levi doesn't want kids, so we had to talk a little bit ago. No, I have 3. I've never had a problem with it. So if anything, maybe I got it. Maybe a little bit of a problem would be bad. No, it definitely, you hear rumors about all that, but I don't think so. I think, there's so many women out there that can't get pregnant. There's so many men out there that have issues that I think just that the mass numbers that have problems, some of them just happen to ride bikes too.
It's more chronic pain than fertility or...
okay, yeah. I got that. He's got something else on his mind. He's been home a while. Personally, no. Especially with our new ball trader saddles, they have like some gel right where you need it. And I think that it's a matter of trying different saddles and finding what fits you the best. You can't just get on a bike and if it hurts, not try to fix the adjustment of the bike. Go to your local bike shop, get a professional fit, try different saddles, and you can find something that works.
That's I agree. That's probably what you're seeing. You're probably seeing people that just haven't gotten the right bike fit, and maybe that's why, because with the
saddle's too high.
Yeah, we don't, as professionals, we really, aside from a saddle sore or something, we really don't have any problems with a muscular problem or any kind of bone issue going on there, or anything like that. Yeah.
You have an opposite problem with it.
Yeah, how much leeway do you have in setting up your bike or making adjustments or changes of components? Can you choose brands or models?
Well, in a certain sense, yeah. Actually, for example, when Team Astana was forming this past year, and we knew we were going to be on track because we were bringing that from Discovery. We had a great relationship there. We had the opportunity to test out the new SRAM Red, and I was lucky enough that SRAM sent one of their top guys to my house. He brought the bike with the SRAM on it. I was able to ride it for a couple weeks and determine if it was good enough for us, and well, obviously it is because we're using it. So in that sense, that's kind of one of my favorite parts of the job is I get to test a bunch of stuff and decide which is the best. I think that, as far as when it comes to a certain race day, we choose which wheels we want, or front wheel in a time trial, which saddle to ride, things like that. We have a choice.
Yeah, certainly everyone has it. I mean, we're lucky enough too, as our sponsors all make a wide variety of stuff. I mean, we have all kinds of different wheels that we can choose from, and of course they all have to be Bontrager and stuff, but they make a huge assortment of wheels that we can choose. So we have a lot of different stays, and then with the saddles like we're talking about, I mean, 4 or 5 different saddles probably that we can choose from. You can choose carbon bars, aluminum bars. We have quite a bit of choice.
So you just need to stay with Bontrager or something like that?
Well, yeah, you're not gonna, I mean, once the team decides that they're happy with the sponsor, that equipment's going to be up to par, then certainly that's like Levi said, when he wanted to try out the SRAM. SRAM's really new to the road scene, and so of course the team wanted Levi and didn't we do Alberto got too, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so both those guys were trying the red stuff out to make sure they liked it. And I've tried SRAM already through cyclocross and stuff like that for a couple of years back, so I knew I was comfortable with it. But certainly once you get the sponsor, you're not going to be able to change from there. I mean, back in the day they used to have it where you could do some custom bikes maybe or something, but everything we're riding is straight off the shelf that you guys can buy out there. Even the paint job, if you guys wanted a paint job, you can order it with the paint job.
Gentlemen, yell at. Yeah, being from Silicon Valley, are you guys doing anything on the fly, regimentation like power output and efficiency rating, anything like that while you're on the bike?
We all do have SRM power meters, which measure the watts and the torque while we're riding. By on the fly, do you mean like?
It goes to the director and he analyzes how you're doing versus the curve.
Oh God, I hope that never happens.
No, we don't do that.
We don't support that either.
No, that does happen. In Europe, we do have some of the riders ride with telemetry that goes to the TV, and then the TV displays how many watts or what that guy's heart rate is.
Yeah.
And the director's watching TV in his car, so pretty much he knows how that guy's
hasn't been
doing.
enforced yet.
It's really more something to look at afterwards than during. Doesn't tell you that much during, really.
Yes, woman over here. Far side, man.
All right. So in my cycling group, my buddies were highly polarized on the topic of stretching. Where do you fit in on that? What's your thinking on stretching?
Every day. They do it every day.
They're saying it's overrated.
I do it every day. When I was younger, I used to have a hamstring problem, and then I started stretching, and I've been stretching since '96 every day. Yeah.
All the way to the back.
Have you guys been to Kazakhstan?
Yes, we like very much. No, we were supposed to go there for a team presentation in the middle of January, but I got an email that said no team presentation. I didn't ask any questions.
I got that same email, and I emailed Levi. I was like, man, this is fantastic.
Could you discuss very briefly the different strategies that the teams use during the race? Without taking anything away, but just are there strategies or
lack thereof?
Yeah, exactly. Strategies or lack thereof. That's exactly what happens. I mean, because you last year in the Tour de France, I'll give you a good example. Rasmussen had a leader's jersey. He didn't attack. He followed the attacks on one of the very first climbs. He went over the climb, and he's in a group of maybe 20 guys. And my team was panicking. They're like, we got to pull it back. And I was like, what do we got to pull it back for? The race leader is already in front of us. And on top of that, realistically,
if they raced it intelligently and a group of 20 went away and you had Rasmussen with you, you would, if no one couldn't chase and they got 10 minutes and they would just start attacking Rasmussen. And Rasmussen would be in a really, really bad position. You can't cover that many different attacks. And so I thought that as a move where I was like, Rabobank should pull this back. I mean, they got their leader up there, but he's with 20 guys and he doesn't have any teammates with him. And so I really thought of it as being their job to pull it back, and my team thought it was our job to pull it back. And, I'm not going to argue with the director if he tells the team to get on the front and they're going to ride all day, then they're going to have to ride. But I sat back and said, well, what do we got to do? If they want to let Rasmussen go up the road from mile 10 or 15, and we got 100 miles to go, and he can cover 20 guys on his own, then let him do it. But yeah, different strategies change all the time. You get in a meeting and you have one strategy plan, but you got to remember there's 200 guys and they're all thinking a little bit different. And then all of them kind of have to do what their directors are telling them too. But you definitely have a plan. Certainly in the Discovery years with Lance, it was simple. He was just better than everybody. Bring him to the last climb, let him win the race. So that's easy. That's the easy strategy. That's the best strategy in the world. You got the number one rider, that's the best strategy in the world. And I think you look at Astana when if we're going to the Tour de France or something, we have that same kind of strategy. We got three of the best riders in the world sitting next to one of them, and you make it as hard as possible, and you bring it to the last climb, and you let these three guys just disintegrate everyone else, and then we got the race leader. And so that would be our strategy. And of course, other team strategies, you really can't do much against a guy when he's better than you and his team can support him.
Time for two more questions. Gentleman over here.
What got each of you into road racing in the first place, and is it something you'd recommend to a friend's high school kid?
For me, I just grew up around the bikes. I just saw them at my house, and my brother-in-law, and my brother, and family members had them, and it was a great way of transportation. I grew up in San Diego, so it was a great way to get around San Diego and go down to the beach on your own. And Saturdays I used to go down and ride down and have lunch at my mom's place, and then go watch a movie, and then Sunday I'd go with my family or friends or something, go down to the beach and ride down to the beach, and then it just evolved from there. And where I'm happiest is when I'm on my bike.
Like I said before, I saw the tour when I was 13 years old, and I was riding with my older brother and his friends, and I've always said this, it's just like an indescribable feeling I had when I was watching the race, and just the images of, these riders going up these huge mountains on bicycles was just amazing to me, and I felt like that's what I was meant to do, and I've worked my whole life to get there, and I think that, as far as recommending to your friend's high school kid, if he felt that way, then absolutely. You gotta love it to go as far as Chris and I have in the sport. You have to love it because there's no other reason to do it.
Right in front.
The TT position you used in the 07 Tour, is it still legal this year?
The position I had in the tour last year, it's legal, yeah. Yeah.
I heard rumors that it was thrown away.
No, the position I had before the tour was ruled illegal, right the day before the tour, and then I changed it.
And that's really the problem cyclists having is their rules are like, well, we got all these rules, and they're kind of like this. and that's the problem that's happening with the tour with our team not getting involved, and that's the problem that really cycling has had. They have a set of rules. And I don't know, it's written on just like toilet paper or something. And it just goes around the roll and it disappears, and then they put a new roll on and it's got new rules. So that is the problem.
I think what we really want to know is, I know, Chris, you're spending Valentine's Day with about 50 guys back at the team hotel, but Levi, you're going back to Santa Rosa. Any Valentine's Day plans with Odessa?
I hope so. I made sure to get my present out of the way last night, so I'm hoping to get mine tonight. That way I have an excuse for maybe not leaving the prologue.
Great. Well, thank you, Trek Bicycles. Thanks, Levi and Chris.